Okay, this is my audience. Okay, so I want to start with my speech with asking how many of you have ever played or watched tennis? Okay, both of you. So it's a pretty commonly known sport, and I think everybody at least knows a little bit about it. So this is a tennis ball for my visual. This is arguably the most important part of the game. So I myself have been watching tennis for quite some time now, and I have learned a lot about the sport. Sports in general are a huge part of our culture, and so I figured maybe by the end of this speech you will have a new interest or a new hobby to take up. Today I will go over with you how and when tennis first started, its introduction into the Olympics, and where the sport is today. So to start, I want to go over the history. So the word tennis and the whole overall sport initially came from 12th century northern France, according to sportslegacy.com. The sport was referred to as royal tennis, which was known as jeu de paume, or game of palms. The actual word tennis came from different areas of the world. Tennis came from the French word tenez, which means to hold, receive, or take. The word racket came from another word, an Arabic word, rakat, which means palm of the hand. So next I want to get into the different types of tennis courts. There's 3 different types. The first being grass. So this is not as common today, but it is the most popular. Grass does affect the ball bouncing, so that's why it's not as most commonly used, but they all have their ups and downs. So clay is the most popular in Europe and Latin America, but this unfortunately speeds down the ball. And then hard courts, which you're probably most familiar with because they're most common in the United States and Australia. So this is made from acrylic surface and mixed with sand. So next I want to get into how it got into the Olympics. So tennis started in the Olympics in 1896 in Athens, Greece, and it was dropped after 1912. It made its Olympic return in 1992 in Barcelona, Spain. And then women first started playing tennis in the Olympics in 1900. These dates are all from metroleague.org. So the Olympics is not the only major tournament that tennis is in. So the major tournaments in tennis are called the Grand Slams. It consists of the French Open, the Australian Open, the US Open, and Wimbledon. The tennisario.com says that Wimbledon started in 1877. It's the only Grand Slam that's played on grass, and it was the world's first tennis tournament. The US Open started in 1881. French Open started in 1891, and it was also the first to allow professionals and amateurs to play together. And the Australian Open started in 1905. So next I want to get into the first Grand Slam winners. Obviously this is an important part of the tournament. So according to tennisario.com again, Swiss Roger Federer has the most Grand Slam titles at 20. Spencer Gore won the first Wimbledon in 1877. The only person to win the US Open on all court types is Jimmy Connors. Lastly, the French Open was first won by Jay Briggs, and the first Australian Open was won by Rodney Heath. So now that I gave you a little bit about the history, I want to talk about tennis as a whole today. So My Tennis HQ says tennis players can qualify for the Grand Slam in 3 ways. I think this is important to bring up because the Grand Slams are still a huge part of tennis today. So first is that they can rank among the top 104 players. Next is they can win 3 rounds in the qualifying portion, or lastly they can receive a wild card. A total of 128 players are allowed in the tournament, and this is all decided by the International Tennis Federation. So like I said, the Grand Slam is still a huge tournament today, and the 2023 statistics for the winners came from ESPN.com. So for the men's US Open, Novak Djokovic won. He also won the French Open and the Australian Open, and the Wimbledon winner was Carlos Alcaraz. So for the women, the US Open was won by Coco Gauff, Wimbledon by Marketa Vondroušová. The French Open was won by Iga Swiatek, and the Australian Open was won by Aryna Sabalenka. So to go over all of this, tennis is one of the most popular sports in the world of today, professionally and recreationally. So tenniscreative.com shows statistics of how popular the sport is. The International Tennis Federation reported that about 87 million people today play tennis all over the world. 47% are male and 53% are female. About 17.84 million play tennis in the United States, and about 25 million people play tennis in the European countries. Today I informed you all about the history of tennis, how it got into the Olympics, and where the sport is today. I hope you enjoyed my speech and want to try out tennis for yourself, or at least watch it on TV. Thank you. Any questions?